We're headed back to Australia to discuss one of the most respected special operations organizations in the Southern Hemisphere, an organization whose history stretches back to the 1950s, a unit renowned for the long-range patrols, reconnaissance, and combat operations from Vietnam to Afghanistan. Let's talk about the Special Air Service Regiment, better known as SASR. So I gave the Australian Special Air Service Regiment a tier rating of a B+. So who are they? The Special Air Service Regiment, or SASR, or I may refer to as the Australian SAS, is Australia's premier strategic special operations unit. Like the British SAS, the Australian SAS traces its roots back to the post-World War II era and adopted many of the same long-range reconnaissance and unconventional warfare concepts. Over the decades, however, the Australian SAS has developed into its own identity. Today, it's recognized as one of the finest reconnaissance and special operations organizations in the world. If I had to describe the SASR in one sentence, it would be this: a small organization with an outsized reputation. Despite operating within a military that's dramatically smaller than both the UK and the United States, the SASR has repeatedly demonstrated that professionalism, discipline, and experience can overcome its size. The Australian SAS was officially raised in 1957. Originally, the focus was long-range patrols and reconnaissance across Australia's vast geographic region. That mission quickly expanded. The regiment served with distinction during the Vietnam War, conducting long-range reconnaissance patrols that became legendary within the special operations community. Those patrols helped establish SASR's reputation for patience, fieldcraft, navigation, and operating independently deep inside hostile territory. Over the following decades, SASR continued evolving. Operations in East Timor, Iraq, Afghanistan, and numerous classified missions that transformed the regiment into a full-spectrum operations force. Today, while reconnaissance remains one of its defining strengths, the SASR is equally capable of conducting direct action counterterrorism and strategic special operations. The Australian SAS specializes in long-range reconnaissance, strategic reconnaissance, direct action, counterterrorism, special reconnaissance, military assistance, foreign internal defense, and special recovery operations. Like the British SAS, their mission set has broadened significantly over time. One of the reasons why the Australian SAS enjoys such a strong reputation is its selection process. Australian special operations selection has been long regarded as one of the toughest in the Western world. Candidates face extreme endurance events, navigation, sleep deprivation, problem solving, leadership evaluations, and prolonged periods of operating under physical and mental exhaustion. Selection isn't designed to find the strongest athlete. It's designed to identify people capable of making good decisions when everything around them is falling apart. Operators who complete selection continue through an extensive reinforcement cycle that develops advanced skills in weapons, reconnaissance, communications, medical training, demolitions, parachuting, small team tactics, and long-duration operations. If I had to summarize SASR in one word, it would be fieldcraft. There are few organizations in the world that have developed such a strong reputation for operating independently for over extended periods. Their reconnaissance skills are exceptional. Their navigation is exceptional. Their ability to survive and operate in austere environments is exceptional. Another major strength is professionalism. Throughout coalition operations, the Australian SAS consistently earned the respect of Allied Special Operations units throughout the world. Despite Australia's relatively small military, the SASR routinely operated alongside organizations like Delta, DevGru, and the SAS, and others. That says a lot about the quality of the regiment. Another strength is institutional maturity. SASR has spent nearly 70 years refining its doctrine. Elite organizations don't become elite overnight. They improve through generations of operators passing knowledge on to the next generation. And the SASR has done exactly that. One thing I keep coming back throughout this video is funding, and especially when it's compared with foreign Tier 1 units when they're compared to American Tier 1 units. Funding doesn't automatically create better operators, but it does create a better organizational capability. Australia has invested heavily in its special operations forces, and the SASR is well equipped. It's well trained. It's highly professional, but Australia simply cannot match the defense budget of the UK, and the UK can't really match the defense budget of the US, nor can it maintain the same global intelligence architecture of worldwide support networks. That's not a criticism, it's just simply a reality. The resources available to operations like the US and JSOC ecosystem are extremely unique. And there's another area where I considered institutional stability. Following the publication of the Brereton report in 2020, SASR entered one of the most difficult periods in its history. The report alleged unlawful killings by some personnel during an operation in Afghanistan and led to years of investigations, organizational reforms, leadership changes, and intense public scrutiny. Again, I want to make something very clear. I'm not judging an entire regiment based on allegations involving a relatively small number of individuals. Thousands of Australian special operations have served honorably. And remember, these are just allegations. That should never be forgotten. But I am evaluating organizational health. One of the most important assets of any elite special operations organization possesses is its trust. Trust between operators, trust between commanders, and trust between the government that sends them into combat and the people carrying out those missions. When that trust begins to erode, it affects morale, retention, recruiting, leadership, and ultimately long-term organizational effectiveness. And that's one of the reasons I introduced institutional stability as one of the ranking criteria at the beginning of this video, because elite organizations don't need just great operators. They need strong institutions behind them. So some people may ask why I didn't place SASR in the A tier alongside the British SAS, and the answer comes down to the entire organizational picture and funding. SASR has outstanding selection, outstanding operators, outstanding combat history, outstanding reconnaissance capability. But when I compare funding, global reach, intelligence integration, authorities, strategic influence, and institution stability, I think B+ is the right place. That's still an extraordinarily high ranking. Remember, we are comparing them to what I believe are the finest special operations organizations on the planet. One thing that's always impresses me about the SASR is that what they've accomplished relative to their size and their budget. Australia simply doesn't have the population, the defense budget, or global military footprint of the United States or even the UK. Yet somehow they've managed to build one of the world's premier special operations organization. That speaks volumes about their culture, their professionalism, and the quality of the people that they've recruited over the decades. SASR remains one of the organizations that every allied special operation force respects, and that's why they earned a well-deserved B+ rating. Now that we've talked about the Rangers, the SAS, the GIGM, the 24th STS, the Green Berets, the SRR, the SEAL teams, Australia's 2nd Commando Regiment, the Germany's KSK, the SBS, the RRC, and now Australia's SASR, that leaves just 5 organizations, and one of them is probably the most innovative, intelligence-driven special operations unit outside the United States. Another is one of the most controversial rankings in this video. And the final 3, well, you're probably already starting to guess who they are. Next, we're heading to Israel. Let's talk about the Sayeret Matkal. So I gave the Sayeret Matkal a tier rating of an A. So who are they? So if there was one organization outside the United States that has consistently shaped modern special operations, it's Sayeret Matkal. Like the British SAS influenced Western special operations doctrine, the Sayeret Matkal fundamentally changed how nations think about intelligence-driven special operations. This is Israel's premier strategic reconnaissance and national missions unit. Unlike many organizations that primarily focus on direct action, Sayeret Matkal was built around one central idea. Intelligence drives operations. Their mission has always been to collect intelligence, conduct strategic reconnaissance, develop targets, and when necessary, execute some of Israel's highest risk operations. Because of Israel's unique security environment, Sayeret Matkal has been operating in an incredibly high operational tempo for decades. Few organizations have accumulated as much real-world experience conducting counterterrorism and strategic operations. The Sayeret Matkal was established in 1957. Interestingly, it was modeled in part after the British SAS, but from the beginning, the organization focused on deep reconnaissance and strategic intelligence collection. Over time, its responsibilities expanded into hostage rescue, counterterrorism, and high-value national missions. One operation more than any others defined the unit, the 1976 raid at Operation Entebbe. After terrorists hijacked an Air France aircraft and diverted it to Uganda, Sayeret Matkal led one of the most daring hostage rescue missions in history. Flying thousands of miles into hostile territory, Israeli commandos rescued more than 100 hostages. Even today, Entebbe remains one of the greatest special operations missions ever conducted. That operation cemented Sayeret Matkal's reputation over the world. Sayeret specializes in strategic reconnaissance, intelligence collection, counterterrorism, hostage rescue, high-value target operations, direct action, special reconnaissance, and national strategic missions. Notice that the intelligence remains critical to almost everything that they do. That's one of the defining characteristics of this organization. Selection into Sayeret Matkal is among the most competitive in Israel. Candidates are evaluated for far more than just physical ability, leadership, problem solving, adaptability, mental resilience, intelligence. The organization has long recognized that the strategic operations often require operators who can think as effectively as they can fight. Training reflects that philosophy. Operators develop advanced skills in reconnaissance, communication, languages, navigation, intelligence collection, close quarter battle, precision marksmanship, and planning. Everything is designed to produce operators capable of working independently under extraordinary pressure. If I had to summarize the Sayeret Matkal in one word, it would be innovation. Israel has always faced unique security challenges. Because of that, they've always been forced to innovate faster than many other larger militaries. Sayeret Matkal has played a major role in that innovation, whether it's intelligence collection, target development, counterterrorism, or hostage rescue. The organization that repeatedly adapted ahead of emerging threats. Another enormous strength is operational experience. Unlike many Western special operations organizations that alternate between deployments and training cycles, Sayeret has operated continuously against evolving terrorist threats for decades without ever having a break. That constant operational tempo creates tremendous institutional knowledge. Finally, their integration with Israel's intelligence community, like ISA, intelligence isn't simply supporting operations. It's embedded within how the organization actually thinks. Every mission begins with intelligence. Israel has invested heavily in defense technology. Although its overall defense budget is much smaller than that of the United States, Israel consistently punches above its weight in innovation, advanced surveillance, unmanned systems, electronic warfare, signals intelligence, precision technology, and many of these capabilities have been integrated into Israeli special operations. However, there's still limits compared to the enormous intelligence architecture available to the organizations operating within the American national security system. So why are they ranked here? If I were ranking intelligence-driven special operations organizations outside the United States, the Sayeret Matkal would almost certainly be number one. Exceptional selection, exceptional innovation, exceptional combat history, exceptional operational experience. The reason they stop at A tier is because the ranking evaluates the entire organizational ecosystem, funding, authorities, global reach, strategic support, technology, institutional resources. When all those factors are considered, I believe an A tier rating is exactly where they belong. One thing I've always admired about the Sayeret Matkal is how they've consistently evolved. Every generation faces different threats, different technologies, different enemies, yet the organization continues adapting. The ability to innovate while maintaining exceptionally high standards is one of the reasons that they're respected by the special operation professionals around the world. They may not have the largest budget or the largest force, but they have consistently demonstrated that intelligence preparation and innovation can overcome their size.